Here's a new one for me. It's a Himalayan salt soap, and it turned out awesome. Would I make it again? Hell yeah! I met a guy who runs a salt shop, and he wanted me to make some soap for him, so he gave me some salt, and I still have to give him the soap. But here's the soap that I made. There's a coarse salt and a fine salt, and I was trying to figure out how to use both of these salts in one bar. I'll get into that later. And here's my oil mix. Nothing special, just a sunflower oil. My good old tried and true castor oil, which I just 5% every recipe now. This coconut oil I love. The value's great. Costco. Some distilled water. I use it because I have it. Don't go out of your way and buy it, unless you're a purist. And some shea butter, which I haven't used a lot of, but I have it lying around. Why not? There's my lye crystals I got from Home Hardware. Price went up like crazy on those. Not happy about that. All right, so I get out my scale, put my cup on it, weigh out my water. This is the same old process. You know, making soap's not that hard. It's tricky to get started with, but once you get it, it's lye, water, and oils. It's really, really easy. So there's my water weighed out, and then there's my container for my lye. Remember, you always add, I remember add acid, like AA, add acid to water. So you add the lye to water. Never add water to lye. I've never tried it, but I hear bad things happen. So I actually poured out too much. I'm going to scoop some out. I guess right around 98 grams is what the recipe called for. And here's my trusty oil bucket. So I'm just going to weigh out my oils one by one. And the first one is the shea butter. This is great to work with, especially compared to coconut oil. It doesn't stick to your hands. It's easy to scoop out. It's not super oily. My weights are all weird for this recipe. Like, what am I at here? 210 grams. Usually it's even numbers, but I'm doing 1,000-gram batches. In this case, the guy who gave me the salt said use 30% salt. So I figured, okay, I'll do a 700-gram batch and then add 30% salt. It worked. It was fine. So I'm just explaining why my oil weights are all weird numbers. Next up's the coconut oil. Again, I don't really like scooping this out. It kind of makes a mess. But it's a great oil at a great price. And then my castor at 5%. I think that works out to 30. What's 5% of 700? 35? Let's see if I hit 35 here. 36. See, I'm close enough. I don't care if it's off by a gram. It's not going to make a difference. And then what other oil did I have? The sunflower? Yeah, so I'm doing a mix of solids and semi-solids and liquids. So I'm going to pour that in. This is the majority of my oil because it's the cheapest oil. 245 grams. And there it is. So I'll throw that in the microwave. And while that's getting warmed up, I'm going to... What am I going to do? Oh yeah, I'm going to weigh out the salt. So like I said, this is the fine salt. And what I decided to do was add the fine salt into the soap, like mix it in it. And I'll do that at trace. And then the coarse salt, I'm going to sprinkle on top because I don't want it to be really scratchy. Like, this is really coarse stuff, and I feel like it would be too scratchy to use. It would be unpleasant. So yeah, I'm going to sprinkle that on top for a little decoration. Anyway, I will weigh out 300 grams of the fine salt. Stuff's really easy to work with. People really like salt, and I guess they use it to bath with, so why not try it in a soap? Something extra, keep it natural. Maybe there's some good properties of washing your skin with salt. I don't know. I'm just a guy. I don't know shit. Okay, so I got that weighed out, and there's my oils out of the microwave. So, you know, the same old, same old. I'm going to add in my lye water and hit it with a good old stick blender. Nothing complicated or fancy here. But what I want to do is get this soap to a medium trace before I add the salt, because I want it to be suspended evenly throughout the oil so that it doesn't all sink to the bottom. And I'm not going to color this. I want it to go for a really natural soap. So I am adding a fragrance. It's a cedarwood essential oil. Again, playing on the naturalness. It's a natural color, cedarwood smell, salty soap. It's got a nice story to it, like, I guess holistically. It all worked together. Let's put it that way. So I'm going to hit it with the stick blender for, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 seconds, and I get that nice pudding-like consistency. And to me, this is the perfect time to add in the salt so that, like I said, it'll mix evenly throughout the soap instead of sitting on top or falling to the bottom. Simple enough. Dump it in, get out the old spatch, mix it around. Yeah, very pudding-like consistency. It's kind of an appetizing soap. All right, so I give it a quick mix, and all I'm going to do is add it to my mold. Like I said, no colors or anything. I wanted to keep it nice and natural. So what I was a little surprised by, I figured, okay, if this is a 1,000-gram mold, and I cut out 300 grams of oils and replace it with 300 grams of salt, the volume should be pretty similar, but it wasn't. I guess 300 grams of salt takes up less space. See, I thought it would take up more space. Anyway, it takes up less space than 300 grams of oil, so it didn't quite fill my mold. If I had to do it again, and I was doing 30% salt, I might take out 20% oil weight to get an even volume, if that makes sense. All right, so added it in, shook it around a bit. I'm going to try and do a little bit of a fancy design on top. This is my weak area of soaping. I should probably work on this a bit, maybe watch some videos to get like the cool designs on top. I see some other people doing really crazy stuff. I just took a chopstick and spun it around a bit. And you know what? It actually turned out pretty good. Made a nice little design on top. I thought it would complement the coarse salt sprinkles nicely. Yeah, I'm patting myself on the back. All right, so a couple handfuls of the coarse salt. And you can see it's really coarse. And yeah, it was scratchy. If I would have mixed this into the soap, I don't think it would have turned out good. Like, it still would have been usable, but not pleasant. So I added quite a bit on top. And if I had to do it again, once it cured up, a lot of it fell off. I would probably push it in ever so slightly, just to really make sure it's stuck in there. This recipe and batch as is set up nicely in 24 hours, as most of them do. That's what I go for. I want to cut in 24 hours. And I got to say, this multi-soap cutter, the more I use it, I'm not a huge fan. It's hard to cut, even a normal batch. But this one was especially hard to cut because of the salt. So the wires hit the salt, and it was really hard to push through. I got some extra little hands on there to help me out. And this was a struggle. Like, even a normal batch is hard, and I get worried that the wires are going to snap and hit me in the eye, but this one was really hard. This is sped up 4 times, and we were reefing on this thing. I know if I had a single cutter, I could have blasted through this no problem, and cutting's a pretty enjoyable part of soaping, I think, and this is not enjoyable. So these multi-cutters, I don't know, if you're whipping out tons of soap and you got like the perfect recipe locked in, it'll save you some time, but for a hobbyist, I would just go with a single. So this cut great, and it looks awesome. It's got the natural look. You could see kind of layers of salt in there. It looks really, really nice. Did soda ash on top a bit, but I think it kind of adds to it. That's probably due to the salt. Great bar of soap. I'd make it again. It's awesome. It's got salt. It's something different. It smells great. I love it. I use it in the shower. It lathers up nicely. It hardened quickly. It cured up. It looks good. It smells good. I don't know. What else do you want me to tell you about this soap? Give it a shot. Let me know what you think. If you got any questions about the recipe, or if you want to see me make any other kinds of soap, let me know down below. I'm more than happy to experiment on your behalf. Check out my other videos if you want to see some more crazy experiments. Until next time.